both of them were in my book of business for Medicare Advantage, and we did a review, and they had two different final expense policies, and I reviewed the wife's first, and hers was actually accurate and good, and the husband, he had a different agent, a different carrier, and we looked at it, and I had been asking him health questions to try to identify, his need, and it was just really obvious on about the third section down that he had answered no, or the agent had answered no to a question that was an obvious yes. I forgot now if it was, I think it was a condition that happened to him in the last 2 years or something. Anyway, it was just very contestable, and basically he didn't have any insurance. And once I was able to explain that to him, of course he wasn't very happy with his previous agent, and I said, the guy could have, done it out of ignorance or not knowing, or he may have done it on purpose, but the fact is, you're not in the right program. And I said, let's look at this, let's answer the questions the right way. And when we got through, he had the same amount of coverage instead of having a contestable product. He had one that was day one coverage. He did end up paying $2 more per month to have the right one, but he was happy. He was like, well, rewrite my wife's. No, hers is fine. And so items like that, and I'll note this too right quick. David and me both have talked about this at length. This is a business you can easily screw over with, for lack of a better word, people you're meeting with. And we don't do that. I don't do it. David don't do it. And the thing is, I've had opportunities to whereas I'm looking at things, and you're going to look at people's policy sometimes, and they're in the right thing. And I look at them and I say, sir, somebody did great with you. You got the right thing, and I'll shake hands and leave, and they'll be like, before I leave, they'll go, man, you're an honest guy. I'll end up getting more referrals from being honest and doing it the right way, no matter what. And then when you see that somebody has a problem, make sure you run through fire or whatever you got to do to make them understand that they need help. This isn't right. So it balances out, and trying to think of another example, but there are places out there, and you see it on at least every couple of days, you're going to see what David calls clean-sheeted business, where the agent just starts answering no to all the health questions and turns it in. And, guess what? If they die in that contestability period, they're out. And that's terrible. So, that's part of, or a major element of, working with David, is he's helping me identify where something, you're sitting there going, well, this looks fine. And he goes, no. What was that question again? And we find out it's not right. So, more and more, I've been doing 3 months with him now, and so more and more I'm able to figure this out on my own, but early on. And still, he's right there when I need him, and I cannot imagine, and not overdoing it, it's just facts. I can't imagine anybody being more helpful than what David has been. There's no doubt.
Thank you again. Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's my point is that you can't look at things just at first glance as a final expense agent. It's a simple process. It's a one-call close. That's really the most very appealing thing for agents coming in, probably including Medicare agents, because you don't have to wait to get paid. You get in there, you make the deal, and usually within the week you get paid your percentage of whatever you're getting advanced. But the other thing that Medicare agents should know too as well is that, again, me being I know a little bit about Medicare, but in the final expense business, what you have to understand is what Michael has described here, where he's gone in and he's able to replace existing policies. These are probably agents that just don't know any different, and they have limited options, and they honestly did the best they can, or they were just, obviously there's a few mistakes made. But my point is this, is that the final expense business is incredibly competitive, and it's becoming more so. Agents like Michael who have decided to come into this business have done so for the reasons that a lot are. The Medicare Advantage business is getting tougher to sell in. There's more red tape. The healthcare business is all but gone. And there's many agents that have been doing this thing for a long time, and they're looking for an avenue that has some opportunity. And final expense just has a lot of advantages. It's a quick turnaround. You get paid quickly. It's a numbers game. People sometimes prefer to talk to seniors than chasing younger people. And you have the ability to work normal hours. You don't have to work the kitchen table all the time until 10 o'clock at night, 5 days a week. So there's a lot of advantages. But with that comes the competition, which is what I was mentioning earlier. I always tell my agent, when you get involved in this business, you have pretty much a guarantee that when you sell a policy, there's going to be another agent within that same home talking to your client within the next 6 to 12 months. And it's because there's just agents everywhere now. And part of making sure that your policies don't get replaced, because understand that the sale is made based on not only it being competitive, but also the trust that the person has for the agent. But don't underestimate the fact that many of these people are on a fixed income. All it takes is a blown out tire or a transmission exploding or some thing that happens that costs money to motivate these people to start looking around and possibly consider dicing up their current insurance to save a couple of bucks. It does happen, not with everybody, but it does happen. Here's my point. As an agent that sells final expense with considerable effort, you always have to make the best case effort to sell the most competitive premium. And what you have to understand is to do that, you can't carry one company. I don't even think you could carry 2 or 3. Maybe to get started you should, just to learn the companies and the process. But ultimately, the way to be successful and retain business on the books in this business is not only to be a good salesperson and develop a relationship, but also to have the most competitive carriers to handle the underwriting situations, which inevitably not only keeps your business on more, but allows you to sell more. And that's kind of what we do in the mentorship program. We have access to the most competitive carriers so that when you get in front of your clients, not only can you sell them a competitive product, but you also can sell them the right one. Many of the policies Michael replaced were graded plans. They only offered partial coverage, or they were return of premium plans where there was no coverage for the first 2 years. And so what Michael was able to do was identify the underwriting questions or the health conditions of the applicant and find the carrier based on the questions answered, which one would work the best and improve their lot. Again, many of these people are already paying for coverage or have been approached but couldn't be placed because they couldn't do because of price.
I just wanted to interject a comment while he's on this topic. Obviously, the point is you get your client in the most immediate coverage where there's no waiting period or very little waiting period, depending on their health, and you're getting them in the best product that's out there, period, at the best price that's out there, period, because the next guy that comes in, if he's got one just a notch better, somebody on a fixed income, $3 a month, they're going to switch. Not only that, think about it. If you've been in the telemarketing or the lead drop business, the person that lets you in to talk to them, they're the same people that's going to let the next guy in to talk to them. So, if you had some magic way of getting into homes where it was hard to get into, or allow you an opportunity, and nobody else had that magic bullet, then that'd be one thing, but that's not the case. the same person that lets you in is the same person that's going to let the next guy in. And so that's even more reason to get it right while you're there. And David's able to teach that, and he has access to all the top carriers, so there's really no stone left unturned. But
well, thank you. I appreciate that, Michael. Yeah, that's some good points there, especially about it's just a fact of life that, you know, we deal with seniors, and many of which don't have social interaction as much as they used to, and we're dealing with a generation that's a little bit more open to talking to salespeople and a little bit more social than maybe the younger generation. So you do have to take that, and Michael's point is you have to take all of that into account when you're out there selling this, is that it's deceptively simple. And, you know, sure, they like you, and sure, you have a relationship, but, you know, some of these people, believe it or not, are making $700, $800, $900 a month. And when something bad happens, you're on the chopping block if you rip them off. There's carriers out there, for example, Lincoln Heritage is one, where their pricing is specifically designed to be the premium, high-priced life insurance in the business. Trust me, it doesn't matter what gimmicks you sell. Those guys get replaced like it's going out of style. And only because these agents don't have the right tools to replace or to sell in the first place the most competitive and properly priced plan. And so my point is you got to go into this with that understanding, and part of that is knowing which carriers to choose, and then on top of that, knowing which ones of those carriers that you're contracted with to pick for that particular situation. So let's move on to how exactly Michael was able to approach this as far as working his book of business. What I'm hoping you could do, Michael, is just briefly describe or to discuss burial insurance, kind of what the general reception was with your existing book of Medicare clients, and then just to conclude there,